Hi. So, I first wanted to thank you for watching my last video, which you can find right up here. So, today I'm going to talk about my trip to Yamagata from hell. Now, if you don't know, Yamagata is a pretty rural prefecture in Japan. It's in the Tohoku region, which is generally more of a rural area, but not always. And picture this. It was about 2 years ago. I was a student at a Japanese language school in Tokyo. And so I was in a very urban environment. I was very busy. Um, I was juggling both language school and part time job. And so when we had a holiday in summer, I believe it was Obon, I was like, I want to get away to somewhere that's kind of the opposite of Tokyo, that's very rural. And but it was summer. Just gonna put that out there. So it was gonna be very hot. So I had already been to Nagano Prefecture, and it's a very beautiful mountainous prefecture. And so when I was thinking about Yamagata, I was thinking it was gonna be something like that. And this video is no offense to Yamagata. I think it is a very pretty prefecture in its own way. I just think that I personally did not have a good time on this trip. And I'm going to tell you all the details of what exactly happened. And then maybe later I'll talk about like advice for planning a trip in Japan to make sure it's what you're actually looking for. So let's get started. So I take the Shinkansen up to Yamagata, right? From Tokyo up to Yamagata. And there is a Shinkansen that goes up to Tohoku. I think most people think of the Shinkansen as going from Tokyo to Fukuoka, but there are Shinkansens that go up to Tohoku as well. And so I took that. It was pretty empty. Um, Not many people were going up to Tohoku for the break. And I think my first mistake was that I thought that it would be a lot cooler up in Tohoku than it was in Tokyo during the summer. And if you don't know, Japanese summers are brutal. They're like, imagine if you like grew up in the American South, they're comparable to that, like the worst part. Like I lived in North Carolina very briefly, about the same as Japan, I'd say. It sucks, right? To be honest. And so I thought that Tohoku being much more north than Tokyo would be cooler. Um, so when I got to Yamagata, I was surprised that it was pretty much just as hot as it was in Tokyo. And I was like, oh shit, I have to walk like what, 15, 20 minutes to the to my where I'm staying, right? Actually, I didn't have to walk. I took a bus, but still, even the 5 minute walk from the bus to my ryokan was pretty brutal. And I don't even know. I think I had my sun umbrella with me, but I'm not even sure. I did. So that was my first mistake that I assumed it was going to be cooler up there. It wasn't. And so I had booked a room for 2 nights at a very traditional Japanese ryokan. Um, and generally, I liked the ryokan to for the most part. There were a few things, but again, no offense to the owners of this ryokan. It did have a real onsen built in. So it wasn't a private onsen room, though actually it was. Okay. It wasn't like it was connected to my room, but each guest did get their own private onsen, I believe, or got its own, I think. Did it, or was that another place? That was another place. Sorry. No, we didn't get a private onsen, but there was a, male and female side, and I happened to have been alone in the onsen while I was there. The onsen was great. I liked that part. Um, but so when I got to the front desk, it was like it was like a family run ryokan. It was in a really rural area in Yamagata, and the people were nice. They were definitely nice, but they may have forgotten that I had booked, or I booked through an online site, and I was like, yeah, my this is my name, like, wait, really? Wait, I don't see it. And then I think they did find my name though, eventually. So that's good. And so, um, yeah. So I go to my room. The lady at the front desk, takes me to my room, and the room is nice. It's a little old. It's a really old building, but and it looks great. It looks fine. There's a futon and stuff, etc., etc. And it's hot as hell, by the way. Like, it's hot in the lobby. It's hot in the room. And I'm like, okay. I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, as soon as I can turn the AC on, I will. So the lady, she finds the AC remote. In Japan, it's called the aircon. It means air conditioner. She turns it on, and I'm just like waiting. I'm waiting for the cool air to finally like hit me, and it doesn't. And I'm like, oh no, I'm not getting any warmer. And of course, I don't say anything to her because I don't want to be rude or anything. But she leaves, and I'm in my room, and like it, I think it never really got under 27 Celsius at all. And in Fahrenheit, what is 27? It's like in the 70s, I'm pretty sure. So look that up yourself. But so it wasn't exactly comfortable in there the entire time. It was better than it was outside. But like even when I put the aircon remote down to like 16 Celsius, like the real temperature probably wasn't below like 27. So it was not comfortable. It was a bit muggy. Um, and so I was there for 2 nights. And so I was kind of at the end of that, I was like, oh my God, I really want to get out of here because of this. And there were also a fair amount of bugs in my room, but that's okay. It's an old building. I understand. You kind of have to expect that in an old ryokan. And okay, the one good thing was that there was a really nice little like sitting area in my room that had like a view out to the outside, and I might post a picture of it right up here. Yeah. And also, for the past couple months, I have been feeling really tired, and I didn't know why. And so I was feeling really exhausted on this trip, even though I wasn't doing any work for these few days. And I was like, why, why? And I finally figured out that I had like iron deficiency, and I started taking an iron supplement. Like before I went to the doctor about it, I was like, maybe I'll take this iron supplement because I know another doctor a long time ago told me I had low iron. So I started taking it, and I instantly felt better. But during this trip, I did not know that was the problem. So I was pretty exhausted through this whole thing. Okay, so the next problem. So Yamagata, Yamagata's transportation system is not the best. Their public transportation. The buses to the train station, or from the train station to my hotel, were actually okay. They were fine, but the trains are not great. Like they come about once an hour. So I wanted to go up to this little onsen town called Ginzan Onsen, which is pretty famous in Yamagata. And I believe there was a train leaving to Ginzan Onsen um, in the morning. And if I didn't catch this one, then I think I would have had to actually wait 2 hours to get the next train. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the station. I'm going to get this train to Ginzan Onsen. Right. And so I think it was like 10 a.m. And so I was like, okay, this is fine. I'll catch the train. And then lo and behold, the train ended up being like delayed 2 hours, possibly because somebody like jumped in front of it. It said there was an accident involving a person, so I hope they're okay, but I don't know. But anyway, so that didn't work out. So the train was delayed for 2 hours. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll wait until 12 p.m. to get to the train. Like, it's fine. And so I just chill in my hotel room for those 2 hours. And then I finally catch the train, and I catch it to the nearest station to Ginzan Onsen. And there is a bus that goes to Ginzan Onsen from the nearest station, but it was going to be another hour to wait for that bus to the onsen. So I was like, you know what? I'll just pay for a taxi. It's like an 18-minute drive. Obviously walking would have been too far, especially in the heat. So it's an 18-minute drive. It can't be that expensive. It'll probably be like, 3,000 yen, right? Which is like $20 US. So I get in the cab and I have about 10,000 yen with me, or not even, like I have like 7,000 yen with me. Like $50. And I get in and I ask him to go to Ginzan Onsen. And like halfway through, I see that the fee is really racking up. And I'm like, this should not be this high. And it turns, so an 18-minute drive somehow for this taxi was not 3,000 yen, it was 6,000 yen, which is insanely expensive for a taxi. I don't know why it was so price gouged. I have no idea. But it was. It was the most expensive taxi I'd ever taken. So, by the time I was at Ginzan Onsen, I had about 1,000 yen, maybe 1,500 on my person, which is under $10. And I was like, shit. Okay, so I'm like, it's a really cute town. It's hot as hell, so I couldn't enjoy it as much. But it's a really cute town, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll have to find an ATM, withdraw some more money. So I go into a local shop, and I ask the lady at the shop, I'm like, hey, do you know where an ATM might be? And she's like, oh, sorry, there are no ATMs at Ginzan Onsen. And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, there's none. I'm like, and I'm thinking, like, I didn't say this to her, of course. I'm like, first of all, what? This is a tourist area. Why would nobody have an ATM? That's really dumb, But so I was like, oh shit, I just went somewhere with 1,000 yen in my pocket, which I didn't know I would have left after that expensive ass taxi ride. I have no money to spend, basically. I have barely any money to spend on a bus back, And at that point, I was like, okay, I guess I need to take the bus. And so the town was really pretty, but like, it really sucked because I only had 1,000 yen and I couldn't even really pay for a meal because like the prices were a little higher because it was a tourist area. I could only pay for like shaved ice. So I got myself some kakigori and I got myself a water. And that was it. And also, it is an onsen town, but I found out that all the onsens are like basically connected to hotels. And so, like, normal people just coming for the day can't really use the onsens, I'm pretty sure. And even if I could use a daytime onsen, like, I didn't have enough money to pay for it. So it really sucked. And so basically, luckily, I at least had 1,000 yen left to take the bus. So I used that money to pay for my kakigori and then take the bus, which I had to wait for at least another hour to get back to my hotel, back to the train station. All right, take the bus back to the train station. And from then I was waiting at the train station for another hour after that to take the train back to my hotel. So yeah, it wasn't ideal. And it kind of felt like a waste of a day, which kind of sucked. Yeah, and I know there are bigger problems in the world than my problems in Yamagata, but this is just a rant. This is just for entertainment value, right? You know what I mean? So, at the end of the day, I was pretty annoyed, disappointed. I was like, well, I just spent a lot of money on a taxi that had no money left to actually do anything in Ginzan Onsen. I did take some cool pictures. I did. I might post one up here. I don't know. But I was like, that was a total waste. And so I went back home to my slightly uncomfortably hot ryokan. And I went to sleep, And that's the other thing. Okay, so someone who used to live in Tokyo, I was kind of used to a Family Mart or konbini being on every street, basically. And so the local konbini, it was actually a 10-minute walk from my hotel, which isn't terrible. I'm not saying it's terrible, but it was a little far, especially when it's hot out. So I went there, got some snacks, came home, and I don't know which night this was, but one of the nights I did actually go to a shokudo, which is kind of like a Showa era Japanese restaurant, usually run by like an old couple or run by a family. And it provides like really pretty traditional Japanese food, tempura, sometimes sashimi, etc. There's usually alcohol too. It's nice. I might actually do a video on shokudo because they're kind of cool. But I went to this shokudo. This is a good part of the trip, and I had some really good food. Um, and I talked with the lady who owned it, and this was good. And like I was talking and she's like, "Where are you from?" And I'm like, "Or from America." And I'm like, "But I'm living in Tokyo." She's like, "Oh, cool." And she's like, "But why are you coming to Yamagata? There's nothing in Yamagata." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right. There isn't." I mean, I had to laugh because I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "I'm coming for the onsens." But turns out I didn't really get to go in any onsens, except there was one in my hotel. Sorry. So I did. But still. And she was like, "Okay, I understand the onsens, yeah." So we had a good time. We talked a little, but yeah. So anyway, so the second day of my trip, so it was 2 full days that I was there. I decided to take a bus to Sendai, and the trip to Sendai was pretty uneventful. It was fine. I took the bus from like near my hotel to Sendai. It was actually a really nice bus. It was like a slightly more luxury bus. It wasn't too expensive. Um, and I enjoyed Sendai. Only problem was because of my iron deficiency and because of the heat, I was pretty tired the whole time and like wish I had more energy in retrospect to actually enjoy it. It's funny because there's a district in the town in Higashine, Yamagata, where I stayed. There's a district um, there called Harajuku, which, as you probably know, is um, like one of the most like bustling tourist areas in Tokyo, and one of the most like, what's the word? Stylish areas in Tokyo, with like tons of people, so popular. It's actually kind of overwhelming for me. But there's a district of the same name in this town in Yamagata called Harajuku, and it's basically the exact opposite of Tokyo's Harajuku. It's like like there's nothing there. It's kind of washed out. Like there's no people around. A lot of old houses. It's actually really pretty, like in its own way, but it was kind of funny to me. I was like, wow, this is the other Harajuku that nobody knows about. Okay, so last thing I want to say is, so I did kind of think that Yamagata would be like a beautiful mountainous prefecture, like Nagano is, maybe because it has Yama, which means mountain, in the name. But getting there, it was just like really flat land. Like it kind of reminded me of like Ohio or like Oklahoma. I've never actually been to Oklahoma, but it reminded me of that. And I was like, wow, this is different than what I expected. I expected mountains. And again, I kind of liked the way it looked. It's beautiful in its own way, but it's definitely kind of the feeling of, wow, there is nothing here. So it was a different vibe than I expected it to be. Yeah, that was my trip to Yamagata. Um, and I know this video is getting long, but before I go, I think I'm going to give a little advice, both to myself and to anyone watching. And that is, if you're going to like travel, do a little day trip or like an overnight trip or whatever in Japan, like definitely make sure you research the area, like make sure you research the transportation and like how frequently it actually arrives to make sure you don't have to be waiting an hour for every bus, train, etc. And I would also research like what temperature it's going to be when you go to a place, especially during summer, because even in the northern areas of Japan, um, it gets really hot in the summer. It does. So, yeah. And also, I'd say for your hotel, I would definitely look at reviews of a hotel. I mean, people usually do that anyway. But yeah, so what I'm trying to say is do a little bit of planning beforehand. I should also do that. I don't always do that. But yeah, so that's my video. I hope my story was entertaining to you, and let me know in the comments if you've had similar trips that didn't turn out exactly how you expected. At least it's a good story. All right. Bye.